I bought this Retina MacBook Pro for just $180. It's got a lot of problems, but today we're going to restore it. This video is sponsored by NordLocker. With NordLocker, you can store and share your files securely thanks to their powerful crypto system. You can download NordLocker and get 2 gigabytes of encryption for free by heading to nordlocker.net/LukeMiani in the description below. So today's video is going to focus primarily on repair and specifically the most effective way to go about it, because what we have right here is a MacBook Pro with a lot of problems. So the most significant problem is the display is cracked on this device. But if we flip it over and take the bottom case off, there are other issues. So you can see the battery has been removed and the computer overall is in pretty rough shape, but if we look at it from the inside here, you'll notice 2 things. Number 1, we have an SSD, so that's good because that means we don't have to buy one. And number 2, this right here, this chip is a graphics card. So the late 2013 MacBook Pros have 2 versions. There's one that has integrated graphics only, and then there's this, the one with dual graphics. Why don't we go ahead and find out if the logic board is working, because that's arguably the most important part of this computer. So let's go ahead and plug it into power, and we'll see if we can get this thing to boot. All right, well, we have a chime and an interesting pattern on the display. Looks like this is the Apple logo. So I think it's booting up. So judging by the changing of shapes, I think we are actually in the OS now. Fortunately, you guys, I came prepared for this. So, external monitor. Let's see if this thing is actually booted. All right, we'll plug in HDMI over here and let's see what happens. Hey, look at that. So it looks like this MacBook's got Mojave, but as you can see, it is booted up. Does the trackpad actually work? Oh my gosh, it does. Let's double check the specs here. 2.6 Core i7, GT750M, 16 gigs of RAM. Nice. Storage. Yeah, it looks like this is a wiped SSD. So basically what we have here is a working computer surrounded by not good. So clearly this computer has some issues, but there's only 2 major problems with it: the cracked display and the missing battery. Now, ordinarily, what you would do is go on eBay. You would probably buy a battery or a top case assembly for $40 to $70, something like that, and then you'd buy a display. But the problem is, Retina MacBook displays are ludicrously expensive. They're like $300, which is stupid. Now, $190 for this MacBook isn't a lot of money, but if we're adding $300 for the display, plus another $65 for a top case with battery assembly, so we're looking at like $350, $375 to get this computer fixed. Or at least we would be. Because rather than buying those parts individually, what I bought was this. Another MacBook Pro. And I know what you're thinking, why did you buy 2 MacBooks? Well, you see, this one is also broken. I'm not 100% sure what the problem is, what the cause for this is, but the logic board is not happy in this computer. And basically what happens is, as soon as you turn it on, it just has a white screen forever. It doesn't chime, it doesn't accept any key commands, it's just white. But that's why I bought it. I don't care if the logic board is broken, I've got another one. But as you can see very clearly, the display works, the rest of the computer is here. So what I've essentially done is bought a computer with the inverse problem. So really the plan for this is quite simple. We're going to take the potentially broken logic board out and put in the known good logic board. And by combining 2 cheap broken MacBooks, we will get 1 cheap working MacBook. So without any further ado, let's crack these machines open and get to work. Disassembling this MacBook Pro honestly doesn't take that much work. I simply start by unplugging the various connectors around the board and derouting the antenna and camera cables. Next, I remove both fans from the case. Then the two screws that hold in the I/O board, and out it comes. Next, I work clockwise, unscrewing the screws that hold in the logic board and MagSafe port. Watch out for this little screw that's hidden under its own little hat. And finally, we can pull out the logic board from the good chassis. Taking out the logic board took me about 10 minutes. It's not a huge process and everything is laid out fairly well and is easily accessible. All the screws in this computer come out with a T5 screw bit. Just remember where the screws go to simplify reassembly because they're not all the same length. And now it's time to do it all again with the good logic board, but this time I'll reassemble the machine into the good case. After reassembling the machine, restoring it with a Catalina backup I had, and cleaning the entire device, the restored Retina MacBook Pro is looking fantastic. And now I'd like to thank today's video sponsor, NordLocker. NordLocker uses military-grade protection to quickly and securely encrypt data. And because it's fast and lightweight, you can even share encrypted files securely through email, Dropbox, AirDrop, and more without worrying about your encrypted data being up in the cloud, or perhaps on an SSD that you forgot to wipe securely before you sold your MacBook. Anyway, you can check it out for free by heading to nordlocker.com. Oopsie! It's nordlocker.net/Luke Miani in the description down below and get a free 2 GB of encrypted data. So, as you can see, this MacBook looks amazing. It's unrecognizable compared to the way that these two MacBooks looked earlier today before I started filming. So what I think makes this project particularly interesting is that this is definitely something that you can do, and there wasn't a whole lot of luck involved in this. If you pick carefully and you know what you're buying, you can absolutely do this at home. And in fact, I would encourage you to try this at home instead of buying the parts as needed, because you can get a lot less expensive parts if you combine broken MacBooks rather than buying parts. Even though this is a 6-year-old laptop, these displays are still over $300 for a nice one. So what I did was buy a whole other MacBook, which in total was $250. So that $250 got me a display that was working and in good condition, the top case, battery, and trackpad that is all working, all in good condition, and also the bottom case, which is in good condition as well. So for $250, I'd say that was absolutely a good buy. If I had bought the parts individually, I would have paid about $300 for a display, and then I would have had to spend about another $70 to get a top case assembly with an original Apple battery, because I don't use third-party batteries, they're not safe. And when you compare that to the $440 that I spent on this whole thing, completely done, set up, and running, that's not bad. I don't know if there's a ton of room for flipping this for profit, because realistically these computers top out at about $650. So So assuming that I'm actually able to get that money, there would be about $130 in profit in this computer, but I think this method works better if you just want to save money and essentially build yourself a MacBook. So the best way to do this method is when you're browsing eBay for parts listings and you find a MacBook that you think, this might be a good deal, I might be able to repair this and get myself a nice working computer. Before you pull the trigger, go try to find another MacBook that has parts that you can use to repair the first one, or essentially combine the two, and then when you price that out, you'll be able to tell if it's a good deal overall. So that's going to do it for today. I hope you found this video useful, insightful. Perhaps you'll be hitting up eBay after this, who knows? I personally think this computer came out fantastic, and I highly recommend this method if you're in the market for a used 4-parts Mac that you want to fix up. As usual, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Please consider following me on Twitter @LukeMiani, and don't forget to check out my subreddit, which is linked down below. A great place to post any listings you find if you want to do this. And with that, I'll see you all in the next video.